Hey, everybody. Before we get into this episode, I wanted to call out that the movie Cape Fear has a lot of pretty dark elements to it. There's a lot of discussion of sexual assault, sexual battery, and if that kind of thing is something that's going to be a problem for you, totally understand, but you might not want to listen through this episode. We do have to talk about it. It's part of the plot. It's part of the setup. So we do discuss sexual assault in this episode, and if that is an issue for you, I just, turn it off. Come back to us next week. I promise we'll have something a lot more lighthearted. Just wanted to let you know ahead of time. Thanks.
Katie, come here. Wait a second. I've been in a real bad mood lately. It's a shame, isn't it? You know what you can do to brighten my mood?
No.
Get the hell out of here. Now, I don't mean just this little town. I mean the whole goddamn state. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. And I don't want to smell you. Now leave.
Yeah, are you my friend?
No, I'm not your friend.
Oh, because I thought maybe you were my friend, because I like to plan my comings and goings with friends. But if you're not my friend, you're planning my comings and goings, I'd call that presumptuous. In fact, I'd call it downright rude. Because I ain't your porch baby, buddy.
Well, gee golly gosh, I sure am sorry I offended you, you white trash piece of shit.
Ooh, I got the all over fidgets on that one. You really shaking me up. I'm shivering all over. Ooh, it's not necessary to lay a foul tongue on me, my friend. I could get upset. Things could get out of hand. And then in self-defense, I could do something to you that you would not like right here.
Anytime you feel squirrely, you just jump.
You threatening me? You threatening me?
You catch on fast.
Because I'm well within my rights to be here, and you know it. And if I stay here, what you gonna do?
I don't give a rat's ass about your rights. You just watch your step. And you know what I'm talking about.
What you gonna do, arrest me? You a cop, or were you a cop? Or were you not good enough to remain on the force? Because that's the feeling I'm getting here. Hope you enjoyed your breakfast.
It's Two Dads, One Movie. It's the podcast where two middle-aged dads sit around and shoot the shit about the movies of the 80s and 90s. Here are your hosts, Steve Paulo and Nick Brianna. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Dads, One Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
Today, we are talking about the 1991 thriller Cape Fear. Nick, this was a pick that you made for us, so why don't you tell us a little bit about why you picked Cape Fear?
I just thought this is a lot different from what we've been talking about recently.
That's true.
I think we're getting Robert De Niro now for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And also Martin Scorsese now for the first time in a very weird way, right? Yeah. This wouldn't have been it's kind of like a few episodes ago where Secret to My Success was the first Michael J. Fox drop on our 80s and 90s podcast. But I thought it was interesting for a few reasons. One is it's De Niro kind of not being De Niro.
Yeah.
He's like really doing a character. Not that he's not acting in his other roles, but he's generally like the dad from Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
From mid 90s on. And it was kind of cool to see how that worked and to see if like you can separate the Robert De Niro-ness enough from like the character he was playing. So I thought that would be interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know, it was just so creepy. Like there's something about this movie that really stuck with me. And then I think most importantly for people of our generation who were big fans of The Simpsons,
right?
It's important to watch Cape Fear and understand it to fully enjoy season 5, episode 2, Cape Fear, where Sideshow Bob is, going through a similar progression as Max Cady going after Bart Simpson. So that's my thoughts on why I picked it. Yeah. So have you seen it before?
So I had not. I had not seen it before. This is the first time I watched it. I watched it 2 days ago in prep for this. And it was the first time I'd seen it, but I had, of course, seen that Simpsons episode. I mean, I'm sure I've seen every episode of the first 10 or 15 seasons of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And so it was so funny to see moments and scenes in this movie that were then, taken really whole cloth and used in the Simpsons episode and be like, oh, I recognize this, but I know I don't actually recognize this.
Yes.
I recognize the like sort of spoof version of this. Right off the bat, it happened. And I don't know if they got started just yet, but the pull up in prison with the big back tattoo, it's like, oh yeah, Sideshow Bob. So very cool. Thank you for picking it because I hadn't seen it. And to be honest, like I didn't even realize that it was Martin Scorsese. I didn't realize that it was like Jessica Lange and Juliette Lewis. Like I knew Nick Nolte was in it, and I knew obviously Robert De Niro was in it, but like I didn't know all the like proper, sort of info about this. So it was good to come into it pretty fresh and be able to enjoy it. And so, yeah, and it's great too. Actually, you've picked a great movie for us, Nick, for this week, because in about 2 weeks, I think, we're going to kick off our first ever theme month. So, listener, this is where we are trying to hone in on certain areas of the 80s and 90s movies world, because there are so many. Like, we could just pick, somewhat haphazardly and always have a great movie to talk about, whatever. We decided it might be fun to really narrow our focus for like chunks of time. So to start that off, this October 2025 is going to be Shocktober. Ooh. And while we're not literally only doing horror movies, there will absolutely be some horror movies in there, just some like creepy, scary thrillers. This movie very much would fit in with that theme for sure.
Terrifying in
really,
parts.
Especially as we are speaking to you, listener, as two fathers of daughters. This is not good. Okay, let's jump into the facts on Cape Fear. Cape Fear, rated R, very deservedly.
Hard, as we used to say back on the East Coast.
That's right. It was released on November 15th, 1991, with a running time of 128 minutes. It is directed by the great Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese, actually, I believe, one of the characters in Singles referred to him as, but that's okay. Written by John D. McDonald, James R. Webb, and Wesley Strick, whose middle initial is not important enough to remember. Starring Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, Juliette Lewis, and Jessica Lange. Scores. Rotten Tomatoes. I was actually a little surprised by this score. A 75% positive score on Rotten Tomatoes. That seems low to me. I got to be honest. Like, I was a little surprised that, especially given the pedigree of the cast, the acting in this, in my opinion, is one of the best that we've covered, just on a pure like acting talent level across the cast is ridiculous. So I'm a little surprised with that. 7.3 on IMDb makes a little more sense to me. Although again, I think a little on the low side.
I think movies though sometimes take a ding if there's just something really disturbing in it.
Could be.
And I wonder if like we can figure out a two dads type formula, some kind of saber metric, like the value of going over the top with your R rating. And is that going to turn off a certain number of people no matter how good the film is?
Sort of like in Tropic Thunder being warned not to go full R slur, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. All right, some awards. So it did win some Critics Association awards, but none of the major big awards. The things to mention, I think, for this movie is that it was nominated for 2 Oscars. Robert De Niro was nominated for Best Actor and Juliette Lewis for Best Supporting Actress. And I got to be honest, I'd not looked to see who won that category that year, but whoever beat Juliette Lewis must have been impressive. Because
Juliette Lewis is incredible. Yeah,
really ridiculous. The other thing we'll mention on the awards tip is that the 1992 MTV Movie Awards had this nominated for an award. Did not win, thankfully for all of our souls. But Juliette Lewis and Robert De Niro's Kiss in the School Theater was nominated for Best Kiss at the 92 MTV Movie Awards.
Funniest joke you could make. It is not a joke. It is. I mean, forget about. I mean, the two main things wrong is that there's a 30 plus year age gap between this one, and one of them is 15 years old.
Right.
And then the other thing is, it is in no way a sexy, romantic, cool. It is so tense and uncomfortable.
Yes.
MTV Movie Awards. Where are you head at?
Well, and here's the thing. So here were the other nominees that year. I remember them off the top of my head because when I looked at it, they seared into my brain. So it was Angelica Houston and Raul Julia in Addams Family. And they were so wonderful.
There we go. They were great.
Angelica Houston even said, I could never play Morticia again after Raul Julia died because, she's like, he's my Gomez. Like, such a wonderful thing. Annette Bening and Warren Beatty together in Bugsy. Weren't they married?
Adorable.
Like, they were literally like
real
an off-screen couple. Right.
Yep.
So that's great. And then this was nominated. And then I'm forgetting one, but whatever. But the winner that year was Macaulay Culkin and Anna Chlumsky from My Girl. And I feel like that makes it worse that Juliette Lewis and Robert De Niro were nominated, that's the one that won. I mean, it's cute and it's innocent and there's stuff going on, but like, what a strange fucking category to begin with. And then what a strange set of nominees that year.
Really, really crazy. Like, I feel like there's some people have some answering to do. I might get my letter writing pen out later tonight.
There you go. Okay, last two things on just the facts, because let's move on from that. On a budget of $35 million, I think most of which was probably spent in the final 15 minutes on the boat. The box office take was $182.3 million for 5.2 times its budget by any measure. A huge box office hit. So good for everybody involved. That is the facts, or those are, I guess, the facts.
And that is, quote, the facts, right? As the facts being a single noun.
I guess that's true. Yeah,
I think we're right either way.
I think those are the facts, or that was just the facts.
All right. Well, should I just get into
let's dive into
starting
this. We got to
this
dive
off?
into this.
Because, man.
We got to talk about this intro, this credit sequence.
I will say, like, normally when we're watching something on my TV, the volume's at, on a scale of 0 to 100, it's at like in the 50s, generally 60, depending on what's happening. This is the lowest volume I've ever had anything on, because this score at the beginning during the credits is absolutely, it's awesome.
Oh, it's great.
It is incredible. It sets the tone right away, but it is incredibly ominous.
Yes.
And this is actually a remake of a 1962 movie of the same title. I wonder if, I haven't seen that one, but I wonder if the music kind of took something from that, because it really just had the feeling of like an older film.
Right. Yeah. It was interesting when I, was watching it, obviously, again, not something that I was familiar with before. I felt like it was very Hitchcockian.
Yes.
And I looked, because I just realized I should have looked, and no, it was not directed by Hitchcock, the original in 62. So, but so much of this felt a little bit like the opening to Vertigo, or like there's different, like very Hitchcock style, the way things would turn into negative or like be washed out in a given color, the way the score, was like so ominous from Jump Street. Like it really felt very Hitchcock. And I don't know if that was a deliberate, look, Martin Scorsese's Martin Scorsese. Whatever appeared on screen was deliberately done. Right. So I don't think he was accidentally, mimicking a Hitchcockian style. I'm sure he was doing it quite deliberately, but it works. Like,
and
really
maybe that's
fits.
why he picked this project, because it's not written by him, and maybe it was his opportunity to kind of do a Hitchcock homage. An Hitchcock homage.
Hitchcock homage. Really great stuff. And also wanted to mention, on the topic of that 62 original that was remade here, both of the main characters from 62 are in this film. So Robert Mitchum, who played Max Cady, plays the police lieutenant that Sam has to work with a few times, who says like, I wouldn't suggest you do anything like that. That whole guy.
Yes.
And then of course, very briefly in the movie, Gregory Peck plays Sam Bowden in the original version, and appears here as Cady's lawyer at one point. But both of those men appear in this version of the film and are fantastic, because they're Robert Mitchum and Gregory Peck, and they can literally do no wrong on screen. So
really cool to see that.
Yeah.
So after the credits, now we're in like the real, introduced to one of the characters. And it is Robert De Niro's character. We don't know the name at the time. His name is Max Cady.
Right.
And he's in prison doing one of those cool, like ultra healthy looking prison workouts where improvised equipment and everything.
Looking like Linda Hamilton in T2 doing the pull-ups on her.
He's doing like military presses between the bunks or whatever. And you can see there's all these books there, and the most dangerous thing a prisoner can have is a law book. And then I think there's photos on his wall. There's like a photo of Stalin, and
I saw Nietzsche was up there. Stalin was up there. I'm not sure who else. But
he's got So I mean, this guy
good heroes
is just,
to have.
And then he has very scary tattoos. I mean, early 90s to have a set like that. If you're not in the Yakuza,
right?
I mean, that was incredible to have that much tattoo on you and on your back.
Back tattoos and full sleeves and things like that are way more common now than they were 35 years ago. So
and I think the back tattoo, it's like one of those scales of justice, and it's a cross. Right. And then one side it says truth and justice, and the truth thing has the Bible, and then the justice side has like a knife,
like a dagger, some kind. So he totally well adjusted, very well adjusted, obviously rehabilitated. This guy's not going to.
He's ready to go.
He's ready to go.
Yeah, he's been through the cryo program. He's ready to start knitting.
Let's reintroduce him to society ASAP. But that is what happens. He makes parole basically, and we see him walking out of prison, and they ask, hey, is there anybody who can come get you or we should call? He's like, nope, whatever. And what about your books? Read them already? Which is like, okay. I mean, not that I thought he would take the book. Isn't that from the prison library? Why would he take those books anyway? But so we know he is well read.
Come on, Max, scholar. You can get all the books you want once you're outside. So and he was a loner and just took off on his own, wearing like kind of a really cool 70s shirt. Like he went to prison in this timeline in 77 or 76 or something like that. So, he came out looking the part.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Looking like he's in a Quentin Tarantino film and not a Martin Scorsese film. But
and again, the score is really giving us some scary guy music.
I wrote in my notes here, like the score is doing too much. Like it really is so ominous from the beginning. It's and then, so you get out of prison. What's the first thing you do? You get yourself the most comically large cigar that you can find, and you get your ass to Problem Child. I thought that's what that was. I was like, is that John Ritter's Problem Child?
Another movie we will cover at some point, because Problem Child is very funny and very well done. It's a really interesting choice, and I wonder if in the first movie there was a scene where he was at the cinema watching something. So
must be something.
So Max Cady is in there, and and we kind of meet the rest of the family.
Yeah.
Nick Nolte.
The Bowdens.
And the Bowdens.
Right.
And they're in the theater, and Max Cady is in there being very loud and smoking a giant cigar, laughing just during the setup of every joke.
Maniacally. Just absolute busting out laughing.
Like, he would have gotten kicked out of Def Comedy Jam in 1991. Like, when he'd be like, excuse me, sir, can you keep it down? Nobody can hear Bernie Mac. So he was really hamming it up in the theater.
Yeah.
And, they're upset by this, and they're, this is so rude, and let's get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. And so the Bowdens decide they're going to go get ice cream. And so they head to the ice cream parlor, and the Bowdens, of course, we've got Sam Bowden, the father. He's a lawyer. He's played by Nick Nolte. There's Lee. She is an artist or maybe a designer. It's not 100% sure. She obviously does sketches and stuff, but it sounds like more like maybe a marketing designer. Logos at one point she was trying to design. That's played by Jessica Lange. And then, of course, their 15-year-old daughter, Danielle, played by Juliette Lewis. And so the three of them are now at the ice cream shop, getting their ice cream. They want to sit outside. It's the South, right? I don't think they tell us right away exactly where we are. North Carolina, maybe, or something. I'm not even 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't know if they're super upfront about it. But
anyway, it's definitely the South. And we know they left Atlanta. They had to move away from Atlanta, so they're somewhere else. But they decide to go and sit outside. And that's when Sam, Nick Nolte, looks across the street and he sees Max Cady again sitting in his car smoking that big cigar right across the street, kind of staring at them. And at this point, he doesn't know who he is, but he knows he saw him in the theater.
Right.
He had the cigar. They had an interaction. He was not receptive to Sam's comments about, hey, could you, put that out or whatever kind of thing. So,
and I think the cashier had said that guy paid for your ice cream.
Yeah. So he paid for their ice cream.
Clearly they were not in the weigh your own frozen yogurt era, because you can never predict that shit.
Yeah, exactly. You have to try to pay it for it, I guess. But yeah, so he just said, no, let's go back inside. And, and it's just sort of like all of this is really just setting up the tone and the sort of the vibe of the movie, which is just ominous. Like everything from the score to the way De Niro looks at us, whether, at them or whatever. It's just setting up the tension, setting up the ominousness, right, of it. And I gotta be honest, like, so when I got into this movie initially, right, we've been hearing everybody talking kind of whatever, everything's fine with me, except I don't really like De Niro's accent to begin with. And I think as the movie went on, I recognized that was a lot more about me and not so much about Robert De Niro, who's obviously a fantastic actor, but I'm so used to him either sounding like he's New York, New Jersey, Brooklyn, or that sort of like California-ish, Heat and Casino, that sort of character, but it's still that gruff thing. To have this, Georgian or like this deep South, almost like a Louisiana like kind of accent was so strange at first. But as a testament again to De Niro's acting, by 20, 30 minutes into the movie, I didn't notice it anymore.
I feel the exact same way. And I think it's like De Niro, it's like his face has a voice, and it's really, you know what I'm saying? Yes. Like if he was doing a voice for an animated movie and he did the Max Cady voice, it would be, and when Cape Fear, the animated series drops, he's got young kids, he's got some stuff to pay for, but like you associate his face so much, even though they did a good job of switching up his look. He doesn't look like that in anything else.
No.
But I was wondering too, I was like, is the voice bugging me, or am I just so, it's so ingrained in me to associate that voice with like, hey, what the fuck you doing here? Hey, I just got out of jail.
I mean, he definitely has. There are moments where the accent falls away, and it's some of the scenes where he's shouting a lot, getting really worked up. Like the accent kind of completely goes away. In a way, I think for a native speaker with that accent it wouldn't, so there's that. But I mean, look, it's acting.
Small nitpick though, on a great performance.
It's spectacular. Yeah. So
Nolte comes over and is like, what are you doing? He saw him before, and he's kind of creeped out by it, and I don't think he identifies himself quite yet.
He does actually. This is so when they start talking, he reminds him, you remember why I'm counselor? Like he does that whole thing, right? And he's kind of like, and he's like, sorry, I don't remember, because he takes his keys. Like basically Nolte's in the car, and Cady walks up to him and like takes the keys or whatever, and kind of like is talking to him. And because I remember this specifically, he says something as Nolte pulls away after Nolte realized, this Max Cady is a guy that I defended, 14 years ago, whatever. But De Niro says something, and it's really hard to hear. And I think we're not meant to hear it. There's something about the word loss is there, but it's
I'll
like hard.
teach you about loss
I
or
think
something.
that's what he says. But if you look, I mean, I went back a couple times. I rewound 10 seconds a few times to try to really catch it. And it's pretty deliberately lost under the sound of the car. Like the car pulls away and there's like this. And so I think we're supposed to get the sense again of the tension of the ominousness, but like Sam, like Nolte's character, we don't really hear what's said, and so it's just ominous.
Yeah.
Which apparently that's a word I'm going to say 5,000
I think he might
times
repeat that later though when he's talking to the cops.
Eventually,
I think But you don't know what's going on in his head and what their past is. One of the scenes it shows quickly is Sam Nolte's character is having a heated game of racquetball and with the coworker who is probably his like work wife or whatever.
Right. Ileana Douglas,
much younger than him, beautiful in this movie. I mean, she does an incredible job, and she shows up in the Scorsese verse several times as well. Nothing is officially happening, although his wife would be furious if she was watching the racquetball cam.
Yes. Right.
And this is where they are before De Niro finds him. Before he takes the keys from him. So he already knows. So he's following him to a degree. Yeah. Like now he knows who this person is. Right.
That's a good point. Yeah. I forgot that's the sequence there, but yeah. So they have their interaction and Nolte ends up driving away. And I think the next scene is back at the house at that point. Like we were interacting with the Bowdens a little bit. We get this interaction between Danny and her mom, and sort of like they're chatting and stuff. And we get there's some comment in here somewhere about Danny having gotten in trouble. She has to do like summer school. She like got caught smoking pot, something like that, right? So like we get that, she's not like a troubled kid, but like she's, willing to break rules and she's not necessarily always making the best choices.
And pissed at her parents for being in trouble for the summer.
Exactly.
It's July 3rd, they point out.
Yeah. And so the fireworks started behind them. The most ridiculous amount of fireworks.
The finale fireworks show.
It was ridiculous. It went on for 3, 4, 5 minutes of just straight finale fireworks. So I don't know. Was this supposed to be? Did Cady set those off?
Okay, like, this is a good point because at first I thought that this was something Cady did to get their attention because they look out the window at some point. Lee looks out the window and sees that Katie's like sitting on top of their wall. I'm technically not on your side, kind of shit. And I was thinking like. Cady gets out of jail 2 days ago and he has $200,000 to blow on this grand finale of fireworks.
Like Mr. Beast doesn't get this much fireworks for his videos, right? Like
I don't understand it, but I think this is just the in town. Like this is how much they love fireworks in America in that town. And it's just all finale the whole time.
What else? What could be better, right? It's all finale.
But it's very creepy that Cady is out here and he's on their wall. And I think this is where Sam goes to report to the police, basically, like what's happening. And they start to tell him, like what you find throughout the film is what he's getting is not, they're saying, yeah, that sucks, but it's technically not against the law.
Right.
And it goes to Katie's training to live like exactly on the razor's edge of the law, which doesn't last forever.
No, it doesn't. But he does it for a while. Like, honestly, especially as we get to understand just how unhinged this guy is. The fact that he doesn't cross too many lines too quickly is pretty impressive because he really does sort of skirt the line for a while. And so we learned, so Sam ends up talking to, I think it's like his boss maybe at the law firm he works at or whatever, character played by Fred Thompson, great character actor of the era. Love watching Fred Thompson in anything. And they're talking a little bit about, so Sam, who is now, it looks like, a private practice attorney, was a public defender years ago in Atlanta. He defended Cady. Cady was on trial for the rape and battery of a 16-year-old girl. And basically he got them talked down to just battery, which was still 14 years in prison, like, whatever. So, but what happened is that Sam admits to his boss here that at the time a report of some kind was done.
They referred to it as like a sexual history report.
And so that the victim was, quote, promiscuous, and that he buried it. He didn't bring it up in the defense because he believed, he even says later, I think that Cady admitted to other aggravated assaults for him as well, admitted to him, but he basically buried it. And the reaction of Fred Thompson's character is so abhorrent to me.
It sucks.
Because what we realize is that the entire premise of this movie is based around a convicted, I mean, I guess he's not a convicted rapist. He's a convicted batterer. Okay, technically that was his conviction. But basically a rapist of children is upset that his public defender didn't tell everybody that the 16-year-old he raped and beat was promiscuous.
Yeah.
And the other adults in the room are agreeing that would have gotten him out, like off, like no jail time. Like, holy crap. Like, look, I know that the law does not treat women properly. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not that naive, but wow, like this was shocking to me. And I think, and I don't think this plot works the same way if it was set today.
Well, it's kind of crazy,
it wouldn't work as well,
because they said that what the result, and first of all, like the whole time in your head, you're like, where's the person to step in and be like, why the fuck does it matter what somebody's history is when a person does like this like horrific thing to them? That it would have mattered in the universe of this movie. They find out, the report turned up that this woman, this victim, had 3 sexual partners in the last month or whatever.
Right.
Like, who gives a shit? Right. So like what jury that in this world, there's a jury that would be like, well, you know, he did beat her within an inch of her life, but she had, you know, 2 Tinder dates. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I
man?
guess
That's crazy.
We also have to remember, not only are we seeing this movie from 34 years removed, but the trial they're talking about and the cover up, it did take place in 1977.
That's actually
so we are talking about the mid to late 70s in Georgia.
Yeah.
And so
it's even further back than,
so I guess
than
it's not,
when the film takes place.
It's not any less disgusting and horrifying, but it maybe is more like, oh yeah, I guess it was that fucked up that far back.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's good stuff.
Yeah, and that's important background. So I'm glad we went into that. And I'm sorry, none of this is comfortable to talk about or hear about, but you know, this is what happens in the movie, and
Let's move on to a happier moment that comes shortly after some of this stuff, which is when I do believe we find he gets a call at work and has to rush home. Sam does, because Lee's dog is dead.
Yes.
So 26 minutes into this thing, they've already killed the dog, which was not easy for me to deal with. I don't deal well with dogs in particular. I mentioned this in the River Wild episode. Yep. Like, if that dog hadn't survived, I was going to be shutting the movie off. Well, I didn't shut this movie off because
it never really made the dog a character.
Yeah, the dog shows up in one scene.
Right.
Obviously means a ton to Lee.
Sure.
Really, we hear that it's like her dog. So, you know, and it's still painful and everything. But yeah, so we know the dog is dead. They said, the vet said it looked like poison. The dog was poisoned. And so, yeah.
And so Sam, again, he contacted, so he ran into Cady, and Cady was basically, Cady in a very nice, like 65 Mustang convertible.
Yeah.
I don't know where his cash was buried when he first got
they talk about something about his mom died while he went away.
Okay,
and
I
he
thought
got
they
the proceeds
just made
from
that
a
as
farm.
a joke. Okay, so that's a real thing.
That's what, because there was like we saw bank statements at one point. He clearly has cash. So
okay. And Cady is like dressing and acquiring things and acting in the exact way he would think a really cool guy from the day he went to jail would act.
Yes.
And Cady's basically telling Sam, like, I want some compensation. Like, you took away 14 years of my life. And Sam's like, well, I'll give you, how does $10,000, just the most out of touch, offer. And then he says, $50,000, and Katie's like, basically works out to $10 a day.
Not even
That's
minimum wage.
Minimum wage. So this is set up before we find out that the dog is poisoned. So Sam obviously, because Cady during that conversation is like, I gotta go, and zips away.
That's right. Yeah.
And then Sam tells the police friend, this guy poisoned my dog.
Right.
And the cop's like, yeah, that's only a fine.
That's right. Yes. Like, unless he broke in. If he broke in to do it, then we can get him on trespassing, whatever, breaking and entering. But he's like, well, no, I don't have any evidence that he was like in it. I don't know if he got in the house or not. I don't think he did.
It's
we can't do anything then, And yeah, that's Robert Mitchum's character is like, you're a lawyer, you know better than that. Like, we can't just, arrest a guy because you think he might have done something.
Yeah. But if you are going to poison a dog, I guess the lesson is trebuchet poison into the yard or something instead of walking there and putting it in front of the dog.
Tie it to one of the fireworks. Set it off near their house. Yeah.
Oh God. So he's basically pointed out in the police lineup. They bring Max in there, and he's behind. Sam is behind the mirror, identifying Max, and it kind of shows his tattoos and close up. For some reason, they strip him all the way down, and he's in like a leopard print Speedo,
like little briefs.
Which again, there's a couple of moments in this movie, which is a serious movie, not a comedy, that made me laugh hard. Yeah. That was one where I had to pause it because I missed the next 10 seconds after that.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous. Again, I think hearkening back to his 70s heyday of all his raping and battering people. I don't know how to say that, but yeah. So he points him out. Yeah, that's the guy. But the cops are like, we can't do anything unless he does something. And we don't have any evidence that he's done anything. And so Sam's getting more and more frustrated. Nick Nolte really, this is not a surprise to me when you think about the kind of guy Nolte is, but he plays going unhinged pretty well. Like he definitely, the progression of sort of his like, furor over this and his just absolute madness over this is interesting to watch.
For sure. Yeah, he definitely, actually, this movie, I feel like even though the quality of this movie is much better, has a lot in common with Pacific Heights. Okay. Where like there's the person who's antagonizing the main characters by like just pushing things to the edge of the law where I can drive you insane, but to a point where nobody can do anything to me about it.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's interesting. I wonder, that came out a couple years later. I'm sure it borrowed a bunch of crap from this movie because it didn't try hard.
Yeah, and it's super interesting too, because when you really make that comparison, I like the comparison too, because everybody in this movie is at least one step up in acting ability to everyone in that other movie. Like Keaton's fine, but De Niro's De Niro, right? And Matthew Modine and who was it? Those two actors, they don't hold a candle to Nick Nolte and Jessica Lange. So it is kind of an interesting.
It's like an upgraded Pacific. So we have a couple more scenes where Cady is like antagonizing them. They're at a parade and he's staring at Sam's wife in a very creepy way from across the parade, to the point where, he has plausible deniability. If Sam comes up to I'm just watching the parade.
I'm standing here.
And, so he's there and he's just so close to them, and he gets a little too close now because the next scene we see is Max is flirting with Lori, who was Sam's kind of almost mistress,
like wants to be his mistress, I think is kind of the thing. Like she's into him, and he's into her, but he's sort of keeping a little bit, it sounds like, of not going too far.
Right. Maybe. Definitely somebody very important to Sam.
Yes, 100%. And so, they're at a bar. It's 4th of July. And she is clearly very drunk. He's drinking water. And she is, blotto. And she made a joke about saying something about debauchery, whatever. And she said, that's a 3-syllable word. And I'm thinking to myself, debauchery is a 4-syllable word. What is she talking? But I guess if you say it, debauchery.
But was that like a little joke about her being drunk, or her making a joke at the time? Yeah, I couldn't quite tell. But I caught that too.
Yeah, that's a 4-syllable word. What are you talking about? But so they're flirting, and he even tells her like, "Hey, I just got out of prison. Oh, what for?" They're kind of joking back and forth, and he obviously is not telling her, "Oh, I got out of prison after I like raped and beat somebody." Like he's not doing that. Obviously, they go back to her place.
He says jokingly, "I chopped my wife up into 52 pieces."
But that's only because she told a joke where that was the punchline, and then he kind of repeated it back to her, kind of thing. So it's all playful. It's all very playful. She thinks, hey, he's attractive. He's fit. Like, this is great.
He can drive me home.
Yeah, he's showing interest. He's got a car. Hey, wonderful. They go back to her place, and one of the most brutal. I mean, I felt so bad for Lori, for the character, and honestly for Ileana Douglas too, like the actress. It's got to be a hard kind of scene to act, but she's basically really brutally attacked in her own home, and he like bites her cheek.
It escalates so quickly. I mean, this is where because I think nothing's happened to this point. Like, this is the most shocking thing that's happened in the film so far, because even the dog getting poisoned, we didn't see that. And the way that the score was at the beginning, it's like, dude, fucking get ready for something is what the music is telling us. And this was the point where I feel like the film finally caught up to like that blast of music at the very beginning.
Yeah. Everything to this point was preamble. It was tension. It was, hinting at darkness way more than anything in particular. And now we, for the first time, really get to see, okay, this is what the dangerous man this guy is. This is, the man, a man who is willing to hurt anyone in any way he can to get what he wants, whether that's just to hurt the person or to get to someone else or whatever. In this case, he's really hurting her to try to hurt Sam. I mean, that's what's happening. And he has zero boundaries and zero like issues with just being the most brutal person ever. Really, really rough.
And it doesn't have a fake name or a fake story, really, when he meets her. Like, he's identifiable. He's not in costume. So it's like that he's doing this and knowing that she'll go to the authorities. And so we end up, now Lori is in the hospital. Right. And this is what I wrote down is Lori's in the hospital blaming herself. Sam doesn't help her with that.
No.
He basically, poor Lori has just been through like this horrific experience, and she's saying, blaming how many drinks she had or whatever. And again, there's no character to say like,
not your
that
fault.
doesn't fucking matter.
Right, you
like,
didn't
there's no,
deserve this.
where's Robin Williams? Like, we need the it's not your fault guy, because it is crazy the way that Sam responds, because he's basically like, yeah, well, you drank too much, but you need to testify now.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
Right.
where's
Exactly.
the human side of you, dude?
It's like, oh, hey, could you, this is really cool. I'm so glad this happened to you. Could you help me out? Because if you help me out, that would be really good for me. Oh, yeah. Sorry about you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about your cheek. Sorry about your arm. Sorry about, whatever, your everything. And, but if you could help me out, that'd be great. You really need to. And that was the other thing too. Is like, you need it. It's like, she doesn't need to do a fucking thing, dude.
It's
like
so
she's
terrible,
only in this
dude.
position because of him.
And he is, Pacific Heights parallel. I don't like Sam.
Oh no.
So far in this, it's not like, it's not showing me he's a great dad. It's not showing me he's a great husband. He's not a great lawyer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, clearly he fucked up that part when he didn't properly defend his client.
I know.
Like,
Jesus
the only
Christ.
like good person in this movie, I think the people I rooted for when it came down to it in this movie, like definitely Juliette Lewis's Danielle character, because she's a kid. So it's like you're rooting for her to like everything to be okay and like whatever, but also she makes decisions. You're like, God fucking, why did you do that? But Joe Don Baker's character, who we meet a little later, and Lee, Jessica Lange, like those are the ones who I think are like, I can actually root for these people. I don't like Sam is a bad guy.
He's
making bad choices. Yeah. And it's hard to root for him other than, his destruction would be horrific for his daughter and potentially for his wife as well. Yeah.
Laurie won't testify.
Right.
And Sam goes back to the cops and he's like, what the hell can I do there? And the lieutenant's kind of like, well, you didn't hear this from me, but maybe if you draw him out of hiding and shoot him by accident, that wouldn't be the worst thing. And so basically suggests taking the law into his own hands. And then Sam's like, wait, are you telling me I should be a vigilante? He's like, what? Vigilante? I never heard of her. And so then he hires the Joe Don Baker character.
Great Robert Mitchum impression, by the way, just there.
Dude,
perfect.
I used to do Mitchum in high school.
Spot
it killed.
On. Spot on. Yeah. So he goes to Joe Don Baker, who is a private investigator that he gets referred to. Just as a character actor, I don't think I've ever seen Joe Don Baker in anything and not loved him in it.
Yeah.
He's like a Stephen Tobolowsky that way. He's just always enjoyable.
And his name is so perfect for how he looks.
Yes.
He's like Dave Wanstead Award winner, a guy that looks so much like his name that it's undeniable. I love Joe Don Baker.
He is not Joseph Donald Baker.
No.
He is Joe Don Baker.
He's not Jay Donald. He's not, none of that stuff.
So he's a private investigator, and Sam hires him to like keep an eye on Max and on Cady, and track him and try to figure out what they can use to try and like catch him in something that they can actually like swear out a warrant for him, or get the cops to do something. So Sam goes back home after talking to Joe Don Baker. I actually don't remember the character's name, Corsic or something like that, or what's it?
I just wrote private investigator.
Whatever. In my
we'll
notes,
call him Joe Don.
He's JDB in my notes. So yeah, but so he goes. Sam goes home. He's having dinner with Lee and Danielle, just kind of talking about how, hey, everything's gonna be fine now. Yeah, there's that creepy guy. He's like following me, like whatever. But I got a PI on it now. Everything's gonna be fine. We got anything to worry about. And this is the part you talk about pieces where you laughed when it's like not a funny movie. The way they react to the phone ringing and they all jump like an explosion has just happened.
Yes.
I like laughed out loud because they were all so terrified of the sound of the phone.
There's kind of a little montage of him that happens a couple times where he's securing the house or whatever.
Right.
And he's just like flipping these blinds shut and then locking the most flimsy looking doors I've ever seen in my life. It's basically like a Venetian blind is their protection between them and Max Cady.
Yep.
But him and Lee end up, Sam and Lee are having a conversation now because the call, I think this was Laurie calling from the hospital.
That call, I think, was Joe Don Baker revealing some info about Cady being at home and like he was following him or whatever. But then later, just after that, Sam calls Laurie.
Okay,
from
right.
the bedroom
Where he had to
phone.
call from the bedroom phone.
So he calls Laurie to talk to her and just kind of check in on her and see how she's doing, whatever. But he's like whispering, he's being conspiratorial, etc. And at one point he realizes, he looks up and in the reflection of the bedroom window, he sees that Lee is standing in the hallway, right in the doorway to the bedroom. And she is like loses it on him because as we learn, he cheated on her when they lived in Atlanta. It's one of the reasons that they left there and kind of restarted their life, his profession.
When Lee sees him, or during their conversation when they're kind of fighting with each other, Sam drops this line: "I'm not fucking her in any way." which is about the least credible sentence you could ever say.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. But yeah, so they're fighting, and then it's getting loud, it's getting crazy, and finally like Danielle is like looks up from down below, and they're like, oh, everything's okay, honey, everything's okay. She's like, yeah, right. She runs off to her room, and I love this bit when Danny runs into her room. She like turns on the TV and the stereo.
Yep.
And the TV is definitely showing "Been Caught Stealing," the video for "Been Caught Stealing" by Jane's Addiction.
Yep.
I didn't recognize the song.
It was "Patience" by Guns N' Roses.
Oh, okay, there you go. All right.
Yeah.
But it was just like such a like, why would you turn on MTV and another song and listen and watch? It's very strange. Like,
Sometimes you'll see something in digital and you know that the rights changed between when you'd watched it on VHS back in the day or whatever. This isn't that.
Yeah.
But when I first saw that, I kind of thought, did like Perry Farrell say, no, I don't want any part of this movie or what? Like
it's like trying to watch reruns of Beavis and Butthead. You never get the videos in
exactly.
it.
Or the Wonder Years where they cut all the music out.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, she's watching the Been Caught Stealing video. It syncs up perfully with Guns N' Roses' Patience.
That's
it's
funny.
like Wizard of Oz and Dark Side of the Moon.
That's right.
Okay, so Sam, this is another part of the movie that made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Sam and Lee are having this big discussion and fight. So Sam, he's in the doghouse as he should be,
right?
Because you can't go anywhere near that. Like if he had been caught, cheating on his wife before, and now he's having this kind of like emotional, like, no, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to do that anymore.
Agreed.
He ends up trying to turn it around and say, hey, Lee, we're going to get through this. Just the two of us as a team. And then it hard cuts to Sam Nolte sleeping on the couch.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was like, dude, that's a genuine comedic moment. And it cut through how like nasty, like the last 20 minutes of the movie have been.
Yeah, we really needed a couple. There are some, and this is probably, partly the screenwriting, but partly it's Scorsese and the choices, that he's making on pacing and things. And there are a few moments like that kind of come in and give us a chance to just catch our breaths, because there are so many parts of this movie I found myself holding my breath through, and having that little, kind of funny moment of like, and he even does like the Yosemite sound, like, just mumbling curse words to himself as he gets comfortable on the couch. So very, very good stuff.
So the PI now encounters Cady is basically giving him a strong advisory to leave town. Right, Cady doesn't like this.
Cady makes him in the bar and like buys him a drink, and John Baker realizes, God damn it, he made me. I got to go talk to him now. And he basically tells him like, get out of this town, that whole deal. And again, Cady's a really well-read, well-spoken person. So it's an interesting conversation.
And the move to like buy ice cream and buy drinks, the police are writing down a report. Yeah, this guy's after my family. What did he do? He treated us to ice cream. It's like, sir, I don't think that's the biggest crime we have going on. But it's a really tense standoff with the two of them because now like what Cady's been shown to be capable of. Right. And John Baker has had an itchy trigger finger this entire time. Like he lives to justifiably shoot people.
Right, yes. He's all about stand your ground.
Yo, dude, he is the number one Zimmerman out here. And like so we have a very tense scene where, Cady is making the PI is making actual threats to Cady, and Cady's still like staying within legal limits is what he's saying back. So he's like collecting all these like actionable threats that people are making against him.
This is Joe Don Baker's best line in this movie is in this conversation too. And he says, anytime you're feeling squirrely, you just jump.
Yes.
I love that line. I got to work on my JDB impression.
That's good though.
Yeah, I got to work on it.
It's no my Mitchum, but it's all right. So now, we're back at Sam's house, and Lee is outside, getting the mail. It reminds me of a very like a Billy Madison, It's Dirty Magazine Day mailbox because so far from the house.
Or it's like Forrest Gump's mailbox too. It's like the same way.
Exactly. And Cady pulls up in his Mustang. He's like, "Oh, I just found this down the road," and it's the dog's collar, the dog who had died several days ago. So it's really tense, and I don't think Lee doesn't recognize him at first.
Not right away.
And she's like a little kind of charmed by him, like. He has a way about him that's not like immediately off-putting.
I think there's an interesting thing here that they're showing us and telling us, which is, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, right? Everybody had this idea of violent criminals as being like really dumb, really unintelligent, not well-spoken, not well-read. They couldn't possibly speak like this or be charming, right? And so the fact that he is charming and eloquent in many ways, I think really disarmed people. And I don't know that that would be the case as much anymore, but certainly at the time, I think that was sort of the accepted, stereotype of convicted felons.
He can't be a bad guy.
Dumb.
He's articulate.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing, which is obviously ludicrous. And so, but yeah, it's as he starts talking about details, he says stuff about like, oh, I can see that dog now, all shaggy, sitting at your feet while you draw your little sketches. And that's when she realizes, oh, you're the guy.
Yeah.
You're the guy who's been following my husband. Like, what the fuck, and of course, the scariest part of this scene is that Danny comes running out of the house to say something like, oh, Mom, there's something on the phone or something like, I don't remember what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But we see Cady clock her and make sure that, he sees her, but he drives off before she can see him.
Yeah.
So he speeds off. So at this point, Sam and Lee obviously know Max Cady by sight, but Danny still doesn't. She didn't see him at the parade. She didn't see him at the ice cream parlor. And now she hasn't seen him in front of the house. She does not know what he looks like. But obviously, she knows that he exists in a theoretical sense. There's this guy out there, but she doesn't know him. But now he obviously, if there was any doubt before, he knows for sure.
He knows
who she
everyone
is.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Super risky by Cady. It shows what a tough guy he is. Is he, talking to a woman who's a graphic artist and talks about her work as your little sketches. That'll get you killed, buddy.
Yeah.
Her area, this is unrelated to the plot, but in the setting, in the house, it only shows it a couple times, but her little, her little sketch area, is amazing. It's this beautiful, like all window kind of sunroom with her drawing desks and everything. Yeah. So let's see. Cady speeds off, and then this is of course reported to Sam, and Sam's taking advice from the private investigator, and he says, "Well, I can hire a couple guys to do a hospital job." Yeah, and I like hospital job as a phrase. So basically, he's going to beat him up so bad, and so Sam's considering that.
But he kind of says like
no, but he's kind of like, I'm glad to know it's an option. It's nice to know it's out there.
Yeah. So, so then I think we skip ahead. It's the evening. Danny's in bed. She's like gotten ready for bed. She's like watching MTV still, whatever like kids do. She's got a retainer in, like she's ready to like go to sleep. And the phone rings and it's Cady. We can tell from his voice right away, right? But she's never heard him talk. So, he says like, oh, is this Danielle Bowden or whatever or something? And she's like, oh yeah, hi. And he basically introduces himself over the phone as her new drama teacher. So she's in 2 different summer school classes. She has to take English, she has to take drama. And so he introduces her as as her new drama teacher and kind of is really just flirting with her over the phone, saying things that she wants to hear. At one point, he says he plays her a song on his side of the call. I can't remember what it was now. I'm sure it was important, but like, but I want to say before while you look it up, but just real quick, he is hanging upside down from his ankles. It seems like, I'm not quite sure what's going on, but it's bizarre looking when we see his side of the conversation.
Doing like Batman sit-ups or whatever. I think the song is it Do Right Woman, Do Right Man by Aretha Franklin.
That's what it was.
Great song, by the way. Good choice. Yeah. What a weird guy. I mean, they do have him do this like kind of unhuman behavior that makes Cady just extra creepy.
He seems extra, it's like, like this is how fit he is, right? Like, and if you're going to be attacked by someone, you'd rather they be an out of shape, overweight slob and not somebody who's like so physically fit that they can just hang upside down and do, push-ups and pull-ups and blah, 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 every which way and stuff. It's like, that's that much scarier.
While smoking a giant cigar. So this is the chunk of the movie where Juliette Lewis is really earning her accolades and she's just incredible in this.
Well, so he tells her because he said, I'll see you tomorrow. And she said, oh, that's like room 103 or whatever. And he goes, oh, no, it got moved to the theater. So I'll see you there, So, and apparently this school, the theater's in the fucking basement or something. It's bizarre, but like whatever. So she says, oh, okay, cool. More and more, the ominous factor is just continuing to push up. Like every time I thought to myself, man, this movie could not get any more tense. This could not get any more like menacing. It did. It kept getting more tense and more menacing. And this was one of the major parts of the movie that really, really pushed that. So she goes to school the next day. Right. That's where we're at. She's talking to a friend of hers, has to go off to another class. So she goes down to the theater. She's like, oh, I got to go downstairs for drama or whatever. And she goes down and sure enough, there's like nobody there. In the theater, the stage appears to be set for something like Into the Woods maybe or something.
It's like a little cabin thing or something.
It might be
cottage.
like a Hansel and Gretel kind of idea, something like that. But it's a very like fantasy fairy tale looking kind of cottage and forest scene. And he's just sitting in the doorway of the little cottage, smoking something. It looks like a cigarette at first, but and she walks up to him and is like, hey, you can't smoke grass in the school, because she got busted doing that, right? And of course, apparently, I'm guessing he knew that, or was he just taking a chance that she would be interested in the pot? I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if he knew that, because it never really shows the degree to which Cady was listening in on the family, or there's stuff that he could have picked up on from conversations if he was listening in. But yeah, I mean, maybe he's just taking a wild stab in the dark that kind of a bad 15-year-old would be into that.
Not a terrible guess, frankly.
So yeah, he offers it to Danny now. So then Danny takes a puff off the joint. Cady, just to cement himself as a creepy tough guy, puts it out on his tongue
to give it to her.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, that's trash now, buddy.
Yeah.
And it's so creepy and sexual, the way that he's doing everything, but it's not explicitly.
No.
So it is this tension that almost feels like, you have to pee so bad and you're in a public restroom and you think that the person, the last person left, so it's your turn to go finally, but there's one more person and you have to do that power hold and be like, oh shit. That's what I felt during this whole time. It was like, oh my, what is going to happen? Yeah. We saw what Cady could do.
Yeah.
They're alone in this place and we're further along in the film. So he's got to start getting crazier.
Yeah. We know things are going to continue to ramp up. And this was the scene for me, this scene more than any others. There were several others that were good. This was the scene to me that had me say, God damn it, Juliette Lewis is such a good actress.
Yeah.
This
really
scene
great.
In the theater, there was a moment where she, the character recognized who he was sooner than I thought she would. On less information. There was a moment where I was like, damn, she's actually really smart. She picked up, oh, you're that guy. Kind of a lot like Lee did the day before. Really quickly, when a little bit of a breadcrumb is tossed in front of them, they pick it up pretty fast.
Yeah.
Which I think was a really interesting, really smart choice by, the director, the screenwriters, and the actors involved, is to have these characters all be pretty damn sharp.
Yeah,
these are
there
all
wasn't
intelligent
really
people.
any super gullible person.
No.
I mean, it was strength against strength during this entire thing.
Yeah.
One thing with Juliette Lewis's Danny character that I just want to point out, since we got to point out little flaws in the movie, there's a point, and this is also to break the tension in the pod a little bit. Let's take a breath. Cady is talking to her about her dog, and she says her dog just passed away, and he says, well, what kind of dog was it? And she was like, oh, I don't know, a scruff. No 15-year-old kid with a dog does not know every goddamn breed of dogs.
But it was her mom's dog. They make a big deal about it being Lee's dog.
But unless you intentionally didn't learn dogs because you hated your mom's dog. But I feel like every kid they can't wait to tell you what breed of dog they have. That's their pleasure.
Nice. Thank you, John. I also want to mention, since we're talking about little things, in the phone conversation the night before, her retainer continually pops in and out of her mouth as she's talking, different cuts and different takes. It's in or it's out, and she takes it out and puts it back in. But in between those two things, it's both in and out several times. Just some poor continuity editing there, but that's okay.
Her orthodontist hates this movie.
Hates this weird trick.
Okay. So now things are very tense and getting very weird.
Well, and this was the scene too where we have the kiss, right? The nominated best kiss at the movie awards is here. And this whole scene in the theater is incredibly hard to watch, just in general.
Really tough. Even knowing what happened,
well, and I didn't know. So I was kind of like, what is going to happen? Does he attack her here? How far does he go here? I felt like I knew how far he was willing to go eventually, all the way, basically, as horrifically as possible.
Right.
But I was a little bit is he still setting things up, or is this where he attacks her?
Because it seems the daughter's the worst thing he could do.
Yeah,
so
well,
this shouldn't happen
losing
at
his own
this
daughter.
point. Yeah, right. Yeah, so you're thinking is she going to get kidnapped or whatever?
Yeah.
And Cady says to her he kind of switches at a certain point where he gets a degree creepier. The way that he's looking at her and the way that he's talking to her, and he says, do you mind if I put my arm around you? And it's really tough. It's very, very tough to watch this.
She leaves. He ends up going backstage and she goes back out the way she came.
But during the entire time, you're horrified at everything that's happening, and you think that something really horrific is going to happen.
Yeah.
So well done by the movie makers.
And then I can't remember. Do you remember why Sam ends up deciding to tell Joe Don Baker, go ahead and do it? Was it because Danny tells, that's right, because Danny gets home and Lee finds the pot in the joint in her bag. Or
right.
whatever.
They don't even know about that encounter.
Right. So that Lee and Sam are told, Danny tells them about that's who it was. And that's when Sam calls up Joe Don Baker and goes, get your guys, get your hospital job. I want this guy gone.
Get your
This is
3
it.
guys.
Get your guys, whatever, $1,000, whatever you need. Like, fine, let's do this. And so we get to that. That's kind of what's next is this attack on Cady. And I could not believe my eyes when Sam showed up at the attack. He's like hiding behind a dumpster to like watch.
Dumbest thing.
I couldn't believe that shit. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was crazy. So yeah, the PI senses 3 tough guys who are all armed with clue weapons. One guy has a chain. One guy has a pipe. I think one guy has a candlestick, and they're trying to beat up Cady with this, and they're doing a pretty good job. And Sam hiding out watching this. And look, I understand you want to hide out, you want to see it happen, but if you're trying to hide, don't be smoking a fucking cigarette at the same time. Even though this guy's an aggressive cigar smoker, he's going to pick up on that, you know? And so he's hiding behind there, and this is a pretty good fight scene. And Cady starts to turn the tides, and then he's beating up these 3 guys because in addition to being like really in shape and really tough, like he's a psycho. He does not experience pain.
Yeah, certainly like, not the same way the rest of us do.
Yeah, that it's not slowing him down at all.
Yeah. By the way, for the record,
yes.
If you're going to try to witness the hospital job you have, purchased for delivery to another person, I would highly recommend sitting in a dark parked car, across the street or something. It's the way to go. Because then if they do notice that you're there, you can get away.
Yeah. Or set up like a trail camera where it's going to be the night before.
This and then just review the footage.
A couple of things here, but when Sam had called the PI's office, Jodan Baker, to call in the 3 guys, he had on his desk very prominently a crossword puzzle, a Pepto-Bismol, and a Jim Beam. And then he mixed himself up, which we see a couple times, a Beam and Pepto.
It sounds so disgusting. Like,
it's just, they love showing guys like chugging Pepto though. Yes. That was a real trope there.
Pepto or what's the heartburn one? Like, I don't know.
Tums and Malox.
Malox.
That was Malox. Yeah. Back on the crossword tip, because this kind of drove me crazy. In Danny's room, there's the usual teen movie posters and heartthrobs or whatever. One poster that she had was one of those poster-sized crossword puzzles, like a giant crossword puzzle.
Oh my God.
That classic, Christmas stocking stuffer piece of crap that you never do, right? A, those things stink. B, this was not only had not a single square filled in, it was hung like at a 45-degree angle. So it's not functional.
Right.
And you didn't fill it in. It's just terrible artwork. I don't like it.
Like, is it decorative? Does she like crossword puzzles that much?
I don't know. And we just had a crossword on Jodan Baker's desk. So I don't know. We're trying to have some continuity. Anyway, so we're in court now because Cady, knows that he sent those guys to beat him up.
Right.
He didn't end up encountering him, which was another very tense scene as Cady's creeping back. Are you here? Are you here, counselor? Counselor, you here? And but he doesn't, even though he was like, he knew he was there and he could have, I feel like
he did know he was there. He wanted Sam to know he knows he was there, but he wasn't going to do anything because he wants to come at him legally. And he knows that if he then goes and beats Sam up, that's going to come back on him. He's the ex-con. The other guy's a lawyer, right? It's like you have to try to prove that he's the one who hired him. That's not going to be easy to prove.
Yeah.
Right. But what we do know is that he would have beat Sam's ass. He would have gone to jail. So I think that was a thing where it was like, he knew it. He knew he was there. He wanted Sam to know, I know you're there and I'm not going to do anything. I'm walking away and I'm going to get you in court. I'm pretty sure that was the vibe there, right? That's part of Cady's thing where he is able to, until he goes way too far, able to kind of walk this line of gray area legality for a while where he can be menacing and disgusting and whatever and all these different things, but not, technically, at least by the standards of the time and place he's in, break the law. And I think that would have been, that obviously would have been going too far if he'd actually beat Sam with the pipe. Now he's going back to jail. He doesn't get to do what he wants to do.
Yeah. I mean, he does incredible discipline. I mean, for his faults, Max Cady is an incredibly disciplined person.
That is true.
A lot of times. Yeah. So Sam, he wants to file for a restraining order and he calls his go-to attorney. And the attorney says, well, I have a conflict. I'm sorry. I was actually hired earlier today by Max Cady.
Yeah.
And then we're shown the little courtroom scene with the judge adjudicating. The attorney that Cady had hired, that Sam had attempted to hire, is played by the great Gregory Out of the Way Peck. And
fantastic.
Great to see him. Great to see him playing a lawyer once again.
Right.
And
very in his wheelhouse.
and it turns out the judge is like, well, I know what I need to know, and I will rule that there should be a restraining order where Sam's not allowed to go within 500 yards of Katie.
That's right.
Oh, shit.
I didn't even know that was a thing they could do. Like if they're at a hearing for a different thing, can they just make up a new thing? Like, is this a strange? I mean, I guess unless Katie counter motioned or something to like do. I don't know how that works, but it seemed odd because Sam seemed surprised because the guy said,
because if that's not what the court, it's not for who gets the restraining order. It's for, do you get this or not?
Yeah. It seems strange. But anyway, the end result is yes. Now Max Cady has a restraining order or a personal protection order. I don't remember what they called it, but against Sam Bowden for 500 yards. Sam can't come within 500 yards of Max, not the other way around.
Exactly.
Right? So, and it doesn't cover the rest of Sam's family, right? The way that potentially the other direction it would be like, you can't come within X yards of my daughter or wife either. Right. So that's not good for him.
Very not good. And okay, so I think I have the name of the PI. Is it Kursick? Because I wrote down the quote here because right after that's ruled, I think it's another hard cut to Nolte on the phone saying, "Kursick, I want a gun."
That's right.
To the PI. So the plan that they end up coming up with, which is, a decent plan, is all right, Katie is not going to come into the house while Sam's there.
Right.
If Sam pretends, but we know that he's going to try to fuck with our family.
Right.
So if Sam pretends to leave town all the way to like getting on the plane and walking through the gate and stuff, and then Katie's going to try to pull some shit and we can get him then. Because if he breaks into the house, then we can shoot him. And that's our plan. And
Sam has to go to like North Carolina or somewhere out of state in order to, I don't know why he's out of state. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just another part of the state. But he has to go somewhere. He has to fly. So it's pretty far away. But he has to go because they're threatening to disbar him over his treatment of Katie. Right. Basically, the Gregory Peck character has like filed for a motion with the American Bar Association to disbar Sam. So he has to go deal. And he says, I'm going to be gone for like 3 days. I got to be there so I can like defend myself, all this stuff. And Joe Don Baker's kind of like, well, how important is that to you? He's like, well, if I ever want to practice law again, it's important. And it's kind of like, how important
are you
is
doing
it?
this now?
Right. Like how it's your family. You think this guy's ready to kill people. Like, is this what's more important? So he decides, I'll do it. And so I don't really think, look, this could never work in the era of TSA. Obviously there's that part of it because Katie like walks up to the actual like gate to ask if he got on the plane and the person ends up giving him the info that Sam did get on the plane. He'll be back the day after tomorrow, all this stuff when she shouldn't have. But like, how the hell did Sam get back out of the airport without Katie seeing him? It's so bizarre. And I know we're told the Bowdens don't know Katie's there. Yeah. They're just playing, they're going through the motions and going all the way through it to like make it look as good as possible in case he is. But we know he is there. Like he's literally like, on a level above, watching them from above. Yeah. And so how the hell did Sam get back into the car? He ends up being driven home, hiding behind the seat or whatever.
I think when Katie saw Sam go into the gate, he went down to the desk to do the, I was supposed to give something to this guy.
So he didn't go to the gate. He went to the check-in desk.
To the check-in desk.
Okay. See, I thought he went all the way into the gate. That's why I was
so I think he was like at a different place. So Sam ducked down in the car and then they go back home. Yeah. And then the plan is we got Kursick, the PI. He's going to sit there with a gun and stay awake all night and drink Pepto and Jim Beam. And he's going to set a bunch of Home Alone traps. And when Katie comes in the house, it's going to alert him that he's there and he could shoot him and kill him.
Also awake all day, by the way. Like clearly not napping,
not sleeping, not being relieved,
for 72 hours,
not hiring another guy. And Danny's not into this because Danny had this experience with Katie, and she hasn't fully divulged like the extent of their interaction. And she's basically partially because she was convinced by his bullshit, but also because if my dad hates this guy and I hate my dad, this guy must be kind of cool.
So basically, he sets up Kursick, Joe Don Baker. He sets up this like set of wires that it's like like a fishing line along all the doors, all the windows, all the shutters, and everything. And then wraps it around like the teddy bear. Mm-hmm. So if the teddy bear moves at all, he can just look at the teddy bear, and like every door and window on the ground floor, I guess, is somehow covered by this wire contraption setup that he's got going. And so at one point, it does start. The bear starts moving, and I even wrote down, I'm like, dude, it's just the wind. JDB, like clearly the way the thing is moving, it's clearly like the wind is moving a shutter, like whatever. And so he goes and he's snooping, he's trying to stay low, and he's like whatever, and he finds, and sure enough, it's just the shutter's kind of opening and closing. So he turns it, he locks it. Lead us through, because I'm like, I don't remember the movie well enough.
Okay. Danny finds that sexist book
Oh, that's right. On like
so
the porch or
that's
something.
a quick thing. So we know that Katie's around, right?
Yes.
She found this book that he mentioned. Meanwhile, the PI is like, I've had enough sneaking around the house with my revolver. I'm going to go into the kitchen and mix myself up a cocktail.
That's right.
So he goes into the kitchen.
And he sees the housekeeper.
And he sees the housekeeper there at the sink. And he's like, oh, hey, I didn't. And then all of a sudden, the maid turns around and Katie has doubtfired himself.
No, it's Norman Bates. It's a Norman Bates thing. He's dressed up
I
like
haven't
Mama
seen
Bates.
Psycho, so my only reference is
brother.
Mrs. Doubtfire. Damn it! But yeah, dude, it is crazy. I had to pause the movie because I was dying laughing.
so
I think
funny.
I almost fell off the couch laughing at this because it's just so silly.
The sweater and the wig and like
He did every part of the outfit.
Yes.
That's the thing. It wasn't just let me throw a general coat and a wig on. Like he really did it. And he had like a very matching wig.
Yeah, I don't know where he got the wig that looked so much like the woman's hair because it's not like he scalped her. We see her later, or see her body later, and she has her hair. Because I would have accepted if they'd shown her with like a wound on her head and no hair that he had like taken her hair and
he has Lecter qualities for sure. Yeah,
but nope, just happened to have a wig that looked like their housekeeper.
So of course, Bobby Doubtfire shoots Kursek.
No. First he gets him, garrots him with the piano wire.
Right,
there was a missing piano wire from earlier, so he's got that around his throat. And then in the struggle, he sort of is able to point.
He kind of
Joe Don Baker's
shoots
own gun
his own gun
into
at
him. Yeah.
And then they see that the Graciela, the maid, is also dead
in her quarters or whatever. Yeah.
So Katie's gone, and Sam and the family, and they were doing a terrible job. I feel like when this commotion is happening. And Danny's like, Mom, Dad, what's going on? They're like, get back in your room. It's like, no, we all go in the same room.
Right. Yeah,
like, what are you doing?
Together. Yeah,
That's so crazy. So this is another thing where this movie became like a comedy very briefly. So we had the Doubtfire moment.
Yeah.
And then Sam comes down to discover these dead people in the kitchen and does some of the silliest blood slip in this side of Chevy Chase's Gerald Ford. Man, it was nuts. He was like, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Oh
Like I thought those sound effects would start playing.
It was so bad. It was really
like,
dumb. First of all, just the walking over to him. Why are you approaching the corpse to begin with? And like, what are you planning on doing? And then not being careful of like stepping through the blood. And like, I don't know if the idea was that it was, darker in that room than it seemed to us, the audience, so that we could see what's going on.
Yeah.
But to them, it was like essentially pitch black and you couldn't see the floor. I mean, I guess, but that wasn't made clear. That's something I have to like invent in my head to make that make sense. Because it was just, he ends up falling into it. Lee comes over to him. She falls. They're both basically swimming around in Joe Don Baker's like life essence, basically.
It's crazy. It's to the point that I'm sure the credits have stunt double for Mr. Nolte. Because that scene like needs its own the professional faller there.
Man.
Jesus. So they decide like we have to get the hell out of here.
Get out of town, yeah.
We're leaving. I don't know if they own a houseboat or whatever the deal is, but they end up driving like looks like a couple-hour drive.
Yeah, to the coast or to this river.
They go to the river, right? And they have a pretty sick houseboat. I mean, that would be fun to rent for a weekend.
The boat's named Moana.
Yeah,
it's like is that? I wonder if there's some kind of connection to the Disney film.
Yeah, none of the tone of this film.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they'll imprison Maui and he gets out of jail for the third one or something.
Yeah.
So they're on this boat.
Well, hold on. So before they get to the boat place, right?
Yeah.
Because they're driving and they're trying to stay away from Katie. Obviously, they're getting away from him. And we realize that he is like literally strapped himself to the underside of their car. Apparently, between wherever they were coming from and wherever they were going to, there's not a single speed bump anywhere. So Katie was fine. But, it was pretty diabolical to have to do that. And of course, this was one of those moments that, I recognized from the Simpsons episode because Sideshow Bob does that underneath the Simpsons car. But it was still like, and I think is hit by speed bumps and rocks and et cetera. In that, but it was still kind of like I remembered it, but I'd forgotten it in the moment.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh, wow, like this is a diabolical dude who can just hang out under there, strapped in or not.
Yeah. And he's so
amazing.
Committed. Like the elements don't bother him. No. Like he doesn't get tired. He doesn't get, bored or like it's nuts.
Yeah.
So they find out, Katie's with a little assistance has basically been doing like a 3-hour pull up underneath the car. And he's spotted by somebody. He ends up dipping out. They go to the houseboat and he's spotted by somebody. Nothing ever comes of that.
Yeah, that was I think it was just maybe a moment to show
more tension, I guess.
More tension, but also we're getting a sense of his, lack of give a fuck, right? Where it's like, He's already here. He's doing, this is done. When this is like, he doesn't have to worry about someone tomorrow going to the cops and say, yeah, I saw this guy. He came out from underneath the car. They start investigating because he knows tonight it's going down. Like he's going to kill this family tonight, period.
Right.
So
he has the full mindset of whatever happens is the last thing I ever do today.
Exactly.
Like
right.
It doesn't matter what
he's
happens.
about to fulfill his destiny from his viewpoint.
He showers, he's got a lot of car dirt on him and he slicks his hair back 1 billion times, which is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Got to make sure you're looking slick. So Sam and family are out on the boat and there's this really crazy weather event that I wouldn't expect on like such a calm river.
Well, it's a river period. Like it looks like the squall that starts up and this sort of like the way that the waves are like hitting over. I'm like, how is this on a river? What river is this? The Mississippi? Like how big a river is this?
And it's like crazy. A tornado in the middle of the river to create that.
Very wild. It looked very like, oh, now we're on the ocean. Almost like they only kept it on the river because it's called Cape Fear. So they needed that to work somehow. They couldn't use the ocean. I don't know. But like they're basically in eventually this weather system that comes in over them is very like rocking away at sea, being totally tossed at sea. So
totally. And it, of course, Cady is on the boat. We get Sam's, checking out, making sure all the windows are shut. Don't worry, I got my gun. And, let me go check the anchor. And Cady's out there and he chokes Sam out, but he doesn't kill him, but he just puts him in the classic sleeper hold and like points his head into the window going inside.
Cady comes in and basically like kind of, threatens them, right? And ends up throwing Danny into the hold. So like the little like
that's
locker
right. She has to go in the cupboard.
Go down in there, stay in there, and he basically starts attacking Lee, like he's gonna rape her, and she is fighting him at first, but then kind of I think also part of her is like realizing like how much how much am I willing to like die and let my daughter die? Do I just let this happen? Like what's going on? So then, but she's like getting sneaky. So she starts reaching for the gun because he had shown them that he has Sam's gun, and she's doing a good job of just reaching back towards his back pocket to find that gun to try to get him.
Yep.
But of course, he's too slick and too smart for that. And at the last moment, he realizes what she's doing and sort of breaks that attack to like, regroup and sort of figure out how he wants to do this. And it's like, it really feels like this guy's trying to figure out how can I maximize the like pain people are going to feel.
Right. Like what order do I do this in?
If I attack the daughter in front of the mother, that hurts the mother more. I'm going to do that, like all this kind of stuff. And it's just all very creepy, very dark, obviously, and horrible. And this whole sequence on the boat, especially the stuff with Juliette Lewis and Jessica Lange, it's like another note I wrote was just like, again, the acting in this movie is incredible. And I mean, Nick Nolte's good too, but like really De Niro and Lewis and to some extent as well Jessica Lange, they are fantastic in this scene, and they all really sell this terror, this horror, that the menace, everything about it. And it's just something I want to mention as being really, really great.
It is. Yeah. And Jessica Lange, I mean, it's like heartbreaking what her character ends up trying to do, basically realizing that this is going to be directed at my daughter if I don't try to do, and she's kind of agreeing, hey Max, like I'll do whatever you want, like I understand you and all this stuff to try to draw attention away, similar to Goldblum waving a flare and running away from the T-Rex, like hey, come get me, dude.
But while she was in the hold, luckily Danny found something she might be able to use. She ends up finding a little thing of like Roncinol lighter fluid, right? And she ends up sticking it kind of into her shorts.
Before this, sorry, just to lead up to that. So when Cady comes into the boat, Danny tries to throw hot water in his face. There's like a boiling pot of water. She throws it in his face and he like doesn't even flinch.
Oh yeah. And he like lights a road flare.
And so I think he's kind of talking about how like he's unaffected by that, and he lights a road flare, and whatever the flare's spinning off, I don't know how those are all
like
made.
Napalm or something. It's bad.
It's running down the side of his hand. Though. I mean, something that would absolutely destroy you. And he's just holding it, showing them like how resistant to
he does finally have to like throw it down and kind of shake it off. So it does get to him eventually. But it takes
he had a long time. Yeah,
exactly.
So now Danny, she had found this lighter fluid in the hold.
Yeah. And so he pulls her out and is basically like, I'm doing you first, like whatever. Now Nick Nolte's come back in. So he's got all of them in there, I think, right now. And, he lights up his cigar because he's at this point, he's just waving the gun around, kind of like menacing them, whatever. But he lights that cigar up and she acts right away, sprays that lighter fluid in his face, gets all over the cigar, all over his face, burns the hell out of him. And he runs out of, he drops the gun, I'm pretty sure, runs out of the boat and jumps into the water to obviously put the fire on his face out. And they're all like, okay, I think, are we away? But now, of course, this storm is rocking the boat to such
so
an
they
extent.
can't really control the boat to drive away.
He cut the anchor, and they're trying to regain control of the boat, but it's like a nightmare to get anything to move at this point.
And the burnt Cady is now back on the boat.
Right. He's climbed up
with the gun.
The cut anchor line. Yeah.
Cady with his face burnt, looking how he looks. He looks very similar to Freak Show from Harold and Kumar.
Okay.
You know, the guy that ends up picking them up. He has like a similar look.
I got very specifically the Tommy Lee Jones version of Two-Face from Batman and Robin as well.
Okay.
Batman Forever, that one was, but yeah.
Yeah, really, really creepy looking. So he's, again, has the upper hand, and he forces Sam to admit basically that he had withheld that sexual history report that led to Cady, potentially getting put in jail for 14 years.
Right.
The water is like really rough. There are certain scenes of the houseboat where I'm like, this is too small of a model to use. Like, you should have gone up a few scale points. Like, this doesn't really work.
I say the $35 million budget, I think, was really
all house
happening here. It was really the houseboat and the destruction of this scene, of this set, and everything.
Yeah. And then there's like the most aggressive whirlpool I've ever seen that seems just determined to suck everything into the center of the earth.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
So, we have a struggle here, and Sam ends up jumping on Cody during one of the lurches of the boat, and he handcuffs him to the railing of the boat.
Yeah, because Cady had already put the handcuff around the like railing thing. He was gonna handcuff Sam, but never got around to it because of the way the boat was rocking. And then Sam is able to put it like on his ankle, so it's like attached to his foot, and now it's attached to part of the boat as the boat is like hitting this enormous rock and like fully being just torn apart.
Yeah, it's
clearly
really
going down.
like I don't know if you've ever seen this art installation. Somebody made it where it's basically like a living room setup, but everything is tied to these cables with like a winch through a hole in the wall. And what the art thing does is over the course of a month, it sucks everything through the hole in the wall. So like a couch and a TV and all this shit. So that's what the houseboat getting sucked into the ground is like. Cady's attached to it. Meanwhile, the women have jumped off, and we think they're at least as safe as you could be jumping into that water, but they're away from Cady.
Yeah, say obviously, pick the whirlpool over the psychotic rapist killer, but also, definitely worried for those two. We do at one point see that they've both sort of, washed ashore and found each other. And so as far as we can tell, basically Cady and Danny are okay, while Sam is still dealing with Max Cady.
Right.
Like Cady and Matt and Sam are fighting. But Cady is attached to a part of the boat. So Sam starts like throwing rocks at him and whatever. And he gets a really huge boulder, like he's going to crush his skull. But as he kind of slams it down, it's like the last piece of the boat kind of gets pulled back into the river deeper in. So Cady doesn't get his head smashed, but he is now kind of out in the middle of this raging river being pulled down, and he starts speaking in tongues.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
very,
like you
very
couldn't
Pentecostal.
add anything else to it. And I mean, he's able to just, as this whirlpool is sucking everything around him down, he can still like lock eyes with Sam and just give him this terrifying look. Like he's so determined to not, it's almost like the look as if, I might die now, but I will never die. Like I'm never going to die in your mind.
Yeah. You're going to be dreaming about me for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So speaking tongues, and he ends up getting sucked into the river, and that's the end of that. The girls are there. Sam is there. They meet each other, and they're all kind of recovering on the beach. And the film ends with a voiceover from the Juliette Lewis character, basically saying, "We never spoke about what happened ever again."
Which is crazy to me. Like, how do you not all go to therapy separately and together to figure this all out? But
so we got no epilogue, no sense that anything was okay after this, which I think is a great way to end it.
We have to assume Sam's been disbarred. He no longer has a law license, so who knows what he'll do for a living. We have no idea, if Lee's
you can't make a living off little sketches.
Yeah, right. I don't know exactly what her little sketches earn them and stuff. So it's an interesting thing. This family has clearly been, just not destroyed, but wounded deeply by Max Cady. There is elements of what has happened to these people that, will never go away and never heal. And it's really crazy. But that's Cape Fear. And God damn, that's a good movie.
I really, and then talking to it, like we do a big variety on this podcast. And sometimes it's like, it's a movie because they thought of some funny ideas they wanted to slap on a screen. And sometimes it's just such like a well thought out and executed film that it like the conversation, the nature of the conversation can be different. Whatever we end up rating it, it's like this was made to be talked about on a deeper level than Happy Gilmore was.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Some of our episodes are very sort of like plot analysis, and other ones are very much like, hey, remember this? This was funny. This was definitely more of like, let's take a look at the actual plot of this, because it really, again, the acting in this movie is just off the charts good. It's fantastic. I actually did not know it was a remake coming in, so that's interesting. But it's a story that, while it has some flaws, is not a perfect movie. It's a fantastically good movie. It is terrifying in all the best ways a movie should be terrifying. Especially for a non-horror film, right? This is definitely not a horror movie. It's a thriller, but it is an exemplary, kind of version of a thriller. It really is everything a thriller movie should be. And I don't think it's at all out of bounds for me to make, a lot of like Hitchcock comparisons. I think this was Scorsese putting on his Alfred Hitchcock mask and being like, let's see what I can do with this. Yeah. And it's a fantastic result.
Yeah. I think we're ready to rate this thing. Right. I'll kick it off.
Go for it.
My choice. And I'm glad I picked this. I'm glad that we watched it and talked about it together. And as much as if I'm nitpicking at the movie, maybe it's 15 minutes too long, but I don't know exactly what I would even cut out, because there's a lot of stuff that they have to get into. There weren't specific scenes that I feel like were really unnecessary. It's just like, as a whole, 2 hours and 17 minutes is a little on the long side.
It is on the long side, but I think that the problem is, if you were going to try to cut from the point where you're at now, what you're going to cut is stuff that just ratcheted up the tension.
Yeah,
and that would end up being
that makes it worse.
Yeah.
Because it does get right into the action, which is great. So thinking about this as a very serious film, in my head, I'm like, well, should I knock points off for these like super goofy, ridiculous scenes that made me laugh? I'm like, why would I do that? That made me love the movie so much more. So I was really surprised at how good I think this movie is. I can't point at any other performances I would have changed or improved upon. Like, the direction was great. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of homage in this movie that I don't recognize from not like knowing older movies. Other than that, shout out to Mrs. Doubtfire that I mentioned earlier. Sorry, film nerd here. But I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 4.5 out of 5. I really like this movie.
Nice. No, that's fantastic. I hadn't seen this before. I was familiar with in a very loose way with the general premise due to that Simpsons episode. But this was a really, really excellent watch. And the cast is so good top to bottom. When you think about, they're your main four, right? Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, Jessica Lange, Juliette Lewis. There's your main four. Mm-hmm. They're fantastic. But like the next
Fred Thompson, Jodan Baker,
the
Robert Mitchum, Laurie,
Ileana Douglas,
amazing,
Gregory Peck. Like, everybody in this movie is fantastic at what they're doing. Really, really great. It's Scorsese doing stuff that I don't really attribute to Scorsese, but it's wonderful. I also have never seen Shutter Island, which I believe is him. And it's another sort of like scary, sort of maybe even more of a traditional horror movie that Scorsese did. So I probably need to go see that. But this was amazing. This was fantastic. I loved every minute of this. Even the parts I hated, I loved, right? I mean, there were parts of this movie that were incredibly hard to watch, especially as the father of a daughter and thinking about the way that horrible monster people try to take advantage of young women. And
really scary.
Yeah, really scary. But I am a 5 out of 5 on Cape Fear. This was fantastic.
I like it.
So we are a 9.5 out of 10. If you haven't seen this movie, if like me, this one somehow snuck past you over all these years, go watch this movie. But set aside a couple of hours, keep the lights turned on, and just be ready. Trigger warnings abound. Yeah. But it definitely is a fantastic piece of cinema, incredibly well crafted in every aspect. And I could not more highly recommend a movie than I can recommend Cape Fear.
I am beaming right now that I recommended a 5 that Steve hadn't seen before. Like that, this is the best achievement of my month, I think.
I mean, I had never seen The River Wild, and I don't think I was a 5 on that, but I loved that movie. So yeah.
All right, Steve. Well, are we going to stay creepy, or what do you have going for us next here?
I think we're going to cleanse the palate a little bit. I think we're going to go a little different direction. A couple weeks ago, we did a movie that you and I both love. We talked about Friday.
Yes.
And in the talk of that movie, we talked about the awards that it didn't win. It was nominated for several MTV Movie Awards, one of which was Best On-Screen Duo for Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. Well, we're going to go ahead and watch the movie that won won that award. We're going to watch Chris Farley and David Spade in Tommy Boy from 1985. This was the movie that really, I think, more than anything else, put Farley on the map as a movie star. Obviously, he was massively successful on SNL before this. David Spade had actually been in a couple other movies, but this was like, I think, Farley's first big, this is a Chris Farley movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of thing, and really kind of bright. And Brian Dennehy's great in this, and Rob Lowe is great in this, and Bo Derek is terrible and shitty in this, but oh well. So it'll be a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna do next week. We're gonna watch Tommy Boy.
All right, it's been a long time, but I've watched this a bunch, so I'm interested to see how it holds up. I can't wait.
It definitely is one of those that might not. We'll just see how it goes. Yeah, that about wraps it up. So if you like what you hear, and we hope you do, please consider heading over to Apple or Spotify and leaving us a 5-star review. It really helps new folks find the show. If you want to drop us a line, share your thoughts on an episode, tell us what we got wrong, or suggest a movie we should do next, you can do so at the show at twodads1movie.com. That's the number 2 and the number 1. You can also follow us on Instagram at 2dads1movie. Once again, this has been Cape Fear and other episodes of 2 Dads 1 Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next week.
Thanks, everyone.